I'm Russ Milheim from the Direct. Thank you for talking with me today about Umbrella Academy.
Oh, thanks for having me, Russ.
Of course, I hope you're having a good day so far.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm having a great day. How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. SDCC's coming up, so it's busy, but
Are you going?
I am. Yep, I'm excited. It's the
Nice.
first time in like 7 years, so
Pre-COVID, huh? Pre-COVID in San Diego.
yep, different
Oh man,
world.
I hope you have a great time, man.
Well, for Umbrella Academy, last season, man, it's been a long ride.
Yeah.
With this final season, what is your favorite part about where Diego is now as a character compared to where fans started with him in season one in that like first episode?
I feel like people have been able to see past his anger, and have sort of gone to like his sort of impulsive, intense, erratic behavior at times,
Mhm.
where it's sort of become a character trait that people can hopefully relate to, where at first you didn't really get that much. You sort of just got this like resentful kind of kid who was, angry at his father and didn't like his brothers. But, as the season goes along, you start realizing how much he actually does care about his siblings, and how much he does care about his dad and how much how much pressure he puts on himself to be a good person, not just someone that's going to be, you know, I don't know, insulting people all the time.
Yeah.
So I really like that.
Now, riffing off that same topic, if season four Diego were ever to run into season one Diego, because time travel shenanigans, what would they say to each other?
Well, I think season four Diego would try to talk to season one Diego, but he knows that season one Diego would not listen. He knows that season one Diego thinks he's too hot shit to have any conversation. And I feel like season one Diego would insult the living hell out of season four Diego.
Hmm.
Be like insult to the fact that like you let yourself go, you fat piggy, you know. And season four Diego would probably be like, I know more than you because I'm a father, but also I'm crying in the inside right now because you're making fun of me because I'm that insecure about the stuff that you're calling out on me. Um, and then after. I think that season four Diego would crack into season one Diego and take him to get some ice cream. I think, they'd be like, let's go get some pistachio ice cream. Oh, I like that too. I like that. Yeah, let's go get that.
Pistachio is the choice. I had a bad experience with pistachio in Greece, or
Oh,
actually,
really?
and now I can't ever touch pistachios again. I'm like, ugh, can't do it.
Was it gelato? Was it gelato
So
pistachio?
it was so weird. It was on a cannoli, and it was just one bright slice of pistachio. And then for what I had the cannoli, and then I had terrible food poisoning. And then I was like, I could never
Oh,
have a
no.
cannoli, and then I always just picture that one pistachio, and I'm like, I can't do it.
Oh, how
No.
dare you, dude. I mean, to me, white chocolate pistachio gelato in Europe is the best piece of ice cream I've ever had in my life. So I feel bad for you, man.
One day, maybe one day I'll triumph over it, and I'll beat it. But
Don't blame me.
yeah, what with season four, what do you think this season does that is truly unique compared to the previous three?
That it's 6 episodes.
I mean, that is a fair, factual answer right there.
Yeah, it's 6 episodes. I think what it does too is it doesn't give you at the end of the first episode the world's gonna end,
Hmm.
you know? It really sort of lets the audience sort of fall back with these characters. And then the powers is what kind of kicks it off, and I think it's very brave that we go a full episode in episode one where you just see dynamics. You don't see any powers,
Hmm.
because to me, episode two, when it kicks off, to me, it's probably the best episode I think we've ever shot. It's the funniest episode, I think, out of all the seasons. There's other great episodes too, but to me, episode two is like I can watch that over and over again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's perfectly valid to have a favorite. They can't all be your favorite, so
And on, I mean, unless you have kids,
yeah.
they all gotta be your favorites.
I want to point to that really fun baby shark scene in episode two, with the whole family in the van. That looked
Yeah,
like it would have been a blast to film. What was it like filming that with the whole cast there in such a
it
close
was
quarters,
amazing.
chaotic situation?
It was prime umbrella everyone together in a hot car, bantering back and forth. Because that's the thing about working with such talented actors is that, and also the production and the sound and, everyone behind the camera that are sometimes they know what they're getting into. And especially when we do those kind of scenes where we have to sort of talk over each other to get that sort of sensation that we are on a road trip and we are a family and we are sort of up against our necks. Um, and so, given the fact that also it was winter, so it was super cold when we were shooting those scenes. But yeah, that's one thing that I learned about working with all of them is that, like, if you really trust the dynamics, you'll catch magic on screen.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's sort of what we got, with everyone kind of talking over each other with like the pee bottle and the kombucha and the baby shark, and the
Yeah.
throwing up. It was just, yeah, it was so good.
Yeah, in the comics, your character has underwater breathing abilities, but the
Yeah.
show is just never able to explore that. Are you sad that you never got to touch upon that, your random power that you have?
No, I'm not sad. No, 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 I'm not sad. I always find I'd like to remove as much CGI as possible from anything we do. I mean, I'm not against it, but I think having, to show that there need to be a really good reason to not do that. And I will say this. So here's a little spoiler for you and something that was cut out from that scene, which is everyone starts getting new powers, and Diego in the cars ride in that trip discovers that he can hold his breath longer than everyone else's. So that whole bit was cut out of that whole scene. So you do see him.
Almost there. It was
You actually
almost there.
do see him like being able to hold his breath compared to everyone else for like 3 hours, and that was cut. And I think it made sense because it's just funnier. It was much funnier like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's fun to know that it was almost there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, you know, Speaking of, new powers, you get your powers back, but they're almost evolved.
Yeah.
And you got some cool little things that you can do. Can you talk about showing off those evolutions and being able to be like basically the most badass version of Diego yet?
Yeah. I mean, I think for when he's able to sort of maneuver the bullets and things like that in season two, I mean, it just came out of necessity, right? Like it came out like this thing of like, oh, I can't believe I was able to do this. And I think for season four, when he was able to do that, it was more so this sense of validation that he was so desperately trying to reach, and the fact that he's able to do it. And then Lila comes with like her laser eyes and is able to sort of zap this other guy. To me, it was like, it's a big lesson that like, no matter how good you are, there's going to be someone better.
Hmm.
And so if you continue to validate yourself based on what you have, then you're going to be very miserable when someone else comes and has more. And so in terms of Diego reaching his superpower, I think it's great. Also, I like the fact that we don't really touch those superpowers that much. I like the fact that it's more about the family dynamic. It makes it funner to watch because I think nowadays when you look at things on TV or in films, things that are overly CGI'd tend to lose the stake of us believing that this person might get hurt.
Yeah.
This is why like action Hong Kong films from Jackie Chan back in the 80s were so revolutionary because as an audience member, you sort of felt the punches that he got, and I think that's something that, with technology and stuff, I I I really appreciate when we stay away from those things.
Hmm.
That being said, that whole sequence in Grumson, New Grumson, yeah, it looks badass. It looks freaking cool.
Yeah, I went way back when, Umbrella Academy premiered the same day that, another similar show did, Doom Patrol.
Hmm.
And I don't know, the two are consistently compared with each other. I don't know if you've kept up with the other, but with both of them complete, how do you feel Umbrella has cemented its own legacy separate from that project?
Well, I don't know much about Doom Patrol. I do know that we did come out the same day. And I think they were like on the DC network, and then I don't know if they're still there. I don't know if the DC network still is
No,
even
no,
still.
it's on Max, yeah. But like they both follow, there's this father figure who takes in, these people who have powers and are all damaged, and it's very,
I
very
mean,
similar.
look, I've never, I'm a little timid to say that I've never seen it.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, a lot of people haven't, so.
Yeah, and but I will say that, you know, in terms of Umbrella cementing themselves in sort of television history, all I know is, you know, we were able to the show began 2018, and so this was like Netflix's like early stages of like I want, you know, obviously they had House of Cards and they had, you know, Narcos, and they had a few shows that were just like they were really focused on developing content that was like we need to make a splash. And so I think Umbrella was one of the first ones, along with obviously Stranger Things and things like that, that I feel very proud that we were sort of in the beginning cusps of these shows that, you know, we're able to get 4 seasons, you know, and that people can come back and watch from season one all the way to season four, and there's full closure with it. There's not like it doesn't just drop off.
Yeah.
And you know, it seems like a lot of people gravitated towards it. I think the nicest thing I've heard about Umbrella is the fact that I've had adults come up to me and say, you know, by the way, this is the only show I can watch with my kids, and that we're excited to watch together. You know, we all have our separate shows. We watch this show, we watch that show, you know, but we don't cross.
Hmm.
Umbrella is the only show that will sit down together and it'll be a family thing, you know, and that's something that I can, you know, be very proud about.
The family as a whole, what core cast members do you wish that you could have had more scenes with throughout the show?
I think Reginald would have been something that I'd like to, you know, I think Reginald was sort of like in pockets of all the
Mhm.
seasons, you know, and it was cool, but I think more closure within that I think would have been nicer. Um, I also think with Klaus, that was something that was tapped into in season one and very little in season two and three. I mean, season three was really funny in the elevator scene, right? That to me was like super funny.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Klaus and obviously I'd always want more stuff with Luther, you know, always, you know,
You
Diego
guys
and
had some
Luther.
good stuff with Luther in season four.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. 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 I mean, I want more.
Yeah.
I want
Now I want to talk, spoilers. That ending. It's a bold ending. It's bold, bleak, bittersweet, all at the same time. Can you talk about realizing why that was the perfect end for the show and for this family?
Um, because it's a way to have the fans move on. You know, it's a way for them not to be given any sort of false hope that they might come back. It's, you know, to me, I mean, obviously Wolverine is coming back with, you know, with Deadpool, but watching Logan and watching Logan die, you know, it just felt like I mean, one of the things about watching TV now or films is like sometimes you don't know if the protagonist is ever in danger. You know, you just like you're watching, you're like, oh, I feel like he's gonna survive. And so you're just watching it for the journey and you know, however it ends up. But when you actually have the protagonist all sort of die,
Hmm.
it just makes everything else mean a lot more. I don't know if people are going to be happy about it. I'm sure I wouldn't be if I was watching it. And I'm like, oh, you're literally just cutting off the umbilical cord now.
I'm sure
You
there will be
know?
some people that will be like, wait a second.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, wait. There's got to be an end credit scene. There's
Yeah.
got to be give me something, right?
I guess you pretty much answered my next question is like, can fans hold out hope that maybe there's a Diego out there somewhere, but pretty much no hope. It's
Look, if Netflix came back and said, "Would you like to do something with Diego?" I jump on it. So I'm if that's the only hope they can hold on to, then hold on to that hope. But in terms of another season happening, I don't think so. Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to ask, obviously this is the final season, but as we were leading up to season four and it was shaping up, was it always going to be considered the final outing, or was a season five ever considered? And you guys just felt four was kind of the better out?
Steve Blackman had said from a very early stage of season two, I think he said, I think I got four in me. I don't have five. I know Netflix might want five. I think I got four. So I don't know if it was sort of a coming to conclusion with both of them to realizing, oh, let's do this is as far as we're gonna go. Um, but yeah, no, there was a point. I remember we were doing press in Singapore, Robert Sheehan and I, and we were there with people from Narcos and House of Cards and Mowgli. I think it was being promoted there too with Andy Serkis. And Ted Sarandos sat on our table and he said, "I love your show." And our show hadn't come out yet, but he's like, "I've seen 4 episodes. I love your show." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I wanted to go for seven." You know, like I want this to go for a long time. And I was like, wow, that's really nice. And so there was the promise of, okay, great. If Ted Sarandos likes the show, then I think we're going to be fine. So I think the fact that we got 4 seasons when people only get 2 seasons or three, it's
Netflix is known for cutting off projects pretty early. So,
very lucky. And that's people that like the show, you know, it's just,
I have a plot question for you. So you might not have this answer, but I was curious, and maybe I missed it. But early on in the show, it's established that Hargreaves grabs the children that were born that he can. So he gets the seven, but that there were
yeah,
more. But in
yeah,
this new finale, it's only you guys and your Marigold to
yes.
fix the world. What happened to all those other kids?
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be theories around, and I mean, I think people should watch it again, season 4, to maybe catch some eggs
Yeah.
about is there more people
Hmm.
around? I think someone made a tie in that like 11 was one of the Marigold kids.
Like, yeah, across all of the Netflix.
Yeah, across all the Netflix show, like Baby Reindeer has another one, you know,
Yeah.
just yeah,
I want to pivot real quick. You're also going to be in Ballerina,
yeah.
the long-awaited John Wick spinoff. Is there anything you can tease about what's in store for fans and maybe how it differs from your usual John Wick outing?
Well, I mean, I think what makes I hope it doesn't veer off too much from the John Wick outing. That's what John Wick that's why it's so awesome, you know,
Yeah.
getting to see the best stunt choreographers and the best stunt people come in and like put on a show, you know, and I feel like one of the things that I really enjoyed about working on this film was the fact that everything was practical, or at least the things that I was able to do was practical. So like the fight sequences that I got to do, the amount of rehearsal, the impromptu sort of new moves that were being brought on the day, because it's almost like you're dancing choreo, but also you're freestyling at the same time when you're working with these wonderful people in Ballerina. um yeah, I don't know exactly what to tell you except that like it's freaking awesome, you
Yeah.
know? And I can't wait for people to see this because obviously, and you have Ana de Armas who sort of kind of made her imprint on like 007 and some other action flicks where she can kick butt, you know? So, yeah, I'm excited to see how people receive it. I think it's going to be really good.
Looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Now, my final question, I'm looping back to Umbrella. In
Mhm.
retrospect, how do you feel that you have personally grown as an actor after having been a part of these 4 seasons?
Well, I definitely was able to relax a lot more. When I first started Umbrella, I had a chip on my shoulder, sort of like what Diego had, a big chip on my shoulder, and was very insecure. And at times I still am, but at that point, I think I was just trying to prove myself in the same way Diego was. And it's interesting how, each season of Diego has sort of informed me of myself even more, trying to tap into like what are the things that Diego wants, like from the season 1 where he's like really resentful of his siblings and his father and his upbringing. And then in season 2, like he's just trying to understand his dad, and that's why he's trying to save JFK. And, in season 3 sort of tells him to step in as a father, so understanding it. So all of these things, I feel like have sort of molded myself as an actor, and being able to not force things, because that's the big thing about acting. It's like when you show up and there's 6 other actors in there and they're all in terms of super talented and super aware of what their characters are doing, you really have to find very quickly how not to control things because it's never going to be what you expect. So showing up and surrendering to that, and with that comes a lot of security. So that goes back to the insecure part, like being able to sort of let that go and be like, I'm just going to observe the space and see where I fit in.
Mhm.
The fact that it just works so perfectly that Diego sort of can live in these places because everyone's so different.
Well, thank you for talking to me about the show. I look forward to the world getting able to finish it, and I look forward to the reaction to that bold ending.
Oh, I do not. Thank you, bro.
I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure you're gonna catch a lot of it, but
I'm gonna catch a lot of heat. Yeah.
well, thank you again, and I hope you have a great week.
You too, man. Thanks for taking the time.